All rise. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This Honorable Commissioners meeting of Roane County, Tennessee is now in session. The Honorable Chairman, Darrell Mills, presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, Commissioner Mike Hook will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, please remain standing for the pledge of the American flag. Mike?
Let's bow our heads. Our good Lord, it's again that we're thankful, Lord, that we're able to come together. Here's a body, God, to govern the Lord. And Father, we only ask, God, that you give us the knowledge and the understanding, Father God, to make the decisions and wherein you will be pleased with. God, and we ask, Father, Lord, that you continue strengthening those that need strength here this evening, Father. Father, go with us, Lord, throughout this meeting. We ask that everything that's done will be done in decent and in order. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please turn it down.
Everybody please log in. Okay, if everybody logged in, it does appear that we do have a quorum. Before we get into our agenda, I was asked by Commissioner Ferguson to read a card that he has given to us, and it's a thank you card. It says, "Thank you for the beautiful flower arrangements you sent for Dad's funeral. The phone calls, texts, and prayers were appreciated. I am truly blessed with such good friends, Greg Ferguson and family." Greg, you have our condolences. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the April 11th, 2022 meeting. We have a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hester.
No comment?
No comment. Commissioner White.
I have nothing to add.
Anyone? Okay, let's vote. Those are accepted and approved. Next up is the acceptance of committee reports and correspondence. Do we have a motion to accept? We have a motion by Hester, second by Hooks. Commissioner Hester.
No comment this time.
Commissioner Hooks.
Not at this time.
Anyone else have any comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
so on the memos, I do have some questions. On memo number 3, direct your attention to that. That's the budget report, I believe. And the closeout of debt fund 152. So if we remember in the previous, I think last year's, I amended a resolution taking that 13 cents, Mr. Woody, and taking 7, giving back to the taxpayers of Roane County, and keeping 6. So the end of 152 comes due the end of this month, is that correct, or the first of this month it came due?
Well, it's the end of this fiscal year.
So end of this
It's
fiscal.
it's paid off, yes.
So the 13 cents is out there. So what do we need to make, what are we gonna do with that? I thought my resolution previously automatically returned paid debt back to the citizens of Roane County.
Well, we adopt budgets every year, so as we're in the budget process, we're looking to see what needs may exist, what budgets or resolutions have been passed prior, and we're just putting the entire budget together now.
Okay, but our budget will come due at the end of June, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
So you all probably will see a consolidated budget in 30 to 45 days.
okay. So what, I guess my bottom line up front there, is there any of that money that can go back to the taxpayers of Roane County?
We are anticipating some, yes. I think we're anticipating the way we're working the budget is in compliance with that previous resolution that gave us guidance.
Okay. So equal split again, or give them the whole 13 cents back?
We're keeping 6 and we're giving 7.
This is the one we discussed. The resolution that you all passed last fall, that is the 13 cents.
Okay, I thought it was an additional 13
No,
cents.
don't think so.
The 13
It's just-
cents came out of 151. We moved 156 around.
Yeah, we had a debt service fund that paid off last year, one that's paying off this year.
Okay,
So I'd have to go back and to see which one your resolution was dealing with. One of them was down, it was 150, so your resolution dealt with 152, Connie says.
okay, so 7 cents is going back to the tax.
Yeah, that's the way we're trying to put the budget together right now, that's correct.
Okay. All right, I was thinking it was an additional 13 cents. And I thought we amended in that resolution that future debt, when the citizens of Roane County pay a debt, that the money is returned to the citizens of Roane County.
Well, and that would be this right here. We
Okay.
paid debt off, but we have to set the debt, we set our budgets in July, and that July setting is just now paying off right now.
Okay,
We had to collect the tax during the current year. It's next year that we won't need the tax.
Anything else, Commissioner Hester?
no, not at this time, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Barrett.
I was just noticing under report number 3 as well, that the budget committee, there are 3 or 4 resolutions, I guess, coming up, that haven't been to the ARP committee. Are we going to remove those from tonight until they can get to the ARP meeting?
The budget committee has always dealt with the ARP money when it dealt with primary government. What went to the ARP committee is any allocation that was not primary government, because we came to the conclusion early on that primary government, if you're funding something with primary government and you can get ARP money, that means you don't have to get property tax money. So early on, this has been the practice that we've gone through for almost a year, that if it is a primary government function, the budget committee, who has sat for years dealing with the financial picture of the county, will deal with the primary government functions, and those recommendations would come from the budget committee.
With that primary, we've had heating and air that came before the ARP.
No, that they didn't.
And one of your resolutions is going to affect, the tax rate. 2 years from now,
Potentially.
2 years
Yeah,
from now,
potentially
or we're going
2
to take
years.
back, or we're going to take money back from people. So we can talk about that later. Number 7, we had, there's a lot of questions concerning, I think the schools and our new formulas that are being documented, and I guess for number 7 and number 14, Mr. Chairman, I think it would behoove us to have some type of a workshop so we can get some information gathered on what's going on with the new school formula that in some cases looks like there's going to be less money and down the road somewhere. I just thought it might be good if we could get our hands on that.
I was thinking of the workshop at the school board.
And 7 was the sports recreation, I'm sorry. That's the one where we appropriated the $1.157 million. And there still seems to be, a lot of questions about what we're going to get for our money, what we can do. Are we going to build 45 campsites, 55 campsites? How much does a campsite cost? And if we're going to spend $1 million, it just seems like we should take a little time instead of a resolution coming to us. And we did have some in the committee, and the committee did discuss a lot of this, but there's still a lot of information that hadn't been discussed.
Yeah, just
I'd like to see
just
7
clarification on that.
7 and 14. on the workshop?
Yeah, just clarification on, the county does not have authority to spend the $1.1 million for the Riley Creek until we have some assurance of our long-term lease. The money that's being spent there is to do exactly what you're suggesting
That's
that
right.
we do.
And that's why I was asking for the workshop, because we've got a long way to go, we're just beginning. And if we find out it's gonna take $2 million to do what we wanna do, then we may wanna slow down a little bit. I'm just asking for a workshop on 7
We're
and
talking about
14.
2 separate workshops?
We can do them, we can probably do them together,
Okay.
they're not gonna be a lot of.
Okay, one workshop with both subjects. I'll get that scheduled. Anything else?
Well, I guess on the other, Mr. Woody, on the Galahar Road ambulance thing, is it progressing pretty good?
The property has been purchased, and we're dealing with the architect now. Purchasing is looking at prefab buildings and various options there. But the property has been purchased for the West Station, ambulance station.
Okay. And I think there was a motion made on that committee, you know, to just ask that the committee be apprised of what we were doing building-wise out there.
Yeah, so
Appreciate it.
we have nothing
Thank
to
you.
report.
And number 11, on the value of the penny. You'll probably talk about that later.
Well, that's,
The report that we got.
yeah, that's, so what happens, there's been such changes in the value of property over the last, I guess, 12 to 18 months. The comptroller's office is making us aware of the ratio that they use on public utilities, okay? Because our assessor does not assess public utilities. That's coming from, it used to be the Public Service Commission, but it's from the comptroller's office now. So you have to look at that value, and that value changes every year, where the value of our homes may change in real value. They do not change on the property assessment value, but every 5 years. So what they're saying is you've got one group of property that's changing every year. In your county property, your home, when it was set in 2000, it stays set at that value, even though it may have gone up 25% on a real value. So what they're saying is they have to go into this public utility, and the value they give us, they're saying, be aware, we're fixing to discount that, because we have to discount it down.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner East?
Yes, Mr. Woody, could you give us an update on number 9 on landfill?
So, yeah, number 9, I was actually out there today, and little work has been done. We're still looking for my understanding, the correct fiber to lay down in compliance with what TDEC wants us to do. So at the landfill, we have a drainage ditch beside the landfill that takes water from the landfill, surface water. And you also have on the landfill surface itself a concrete conveyance ditch. So some of the water hits the landfill, goes to a ditch that is adjacent to the landfill. Some of the water hits the landfill, it goes to a concrete ditch on the landfill. Both of those converge. And where those two ditches converge, we have had a divot, let's call it. We've had a fallout there that's quite large. So because of that, we met with our engineers, Geotech Service. We have met with TDEC on site. And then we've allowed our engineers and TDEC to work together for a solution. So our initial, and again, right now we're working for the fiber to lay down, and then we're going to go back with rocks, maybe some concrete, but we're also going to have to move a ditch that's adjacent to the landfill. And we're also going to have to take out the existing concrete ditch and relay that ditch on the landfill surface. Nobody really will tell us what that's going to cost us. Now, we hope this solves the problem, because if it doesn't solve the problem, we're going to do a whole lot more surveillance work to figure out what we can do and where the real issue is. We think what we're doing, what's happening is we're just having an erosion problem, and that's what TDEC has indicated in that memo, that we have not breached the sale where we have landfill. You know, our landfill's been closed now 25 years almost. So periodically, we have to have stuff like this. I noticed that the counselor sent me a letter today. We received a letter from the wastewater authority, and I didn't get a chance to read the whole letter, other than we're dealing with also, and this is all coming in kind of concert with one another, some high ammonium concentration. And they're saying that they're going to start, I don't know, jacking our rate up or fees up or what we pay them. And you know, I shared with you all, one of the options is to abolish that board and bring it back in-house. So at least when we're charging ourselves. But that's something that is not appropriate at this meeting, but it's something that you all may need to consider going forward. How we may have to deal with a landfill that's 70 years old maybe and been closed for 25.
Commissioner Hester.
Okay, on memo 6, Commissioner Wilson pointed out a topic, how do we increase the volunteer population for volunteer fire department? I'm just only echoing that for the simple fact that's an issue throughout the county. And I don't know how to drive up the volunteers needed for that. But, you know, these are the same people that are coming to put out a fire when you need them. But, and I don't have the solution or the answer. How do we increase the volunteer population?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, and I was going to bring that up here in a second. On Thursday at 6:15, we're having a special call meeting at Office of Emergency Services just to discuss this
Okay.
issue and this. Was it tomorrow night? Is it tomorrow night? Oh, Tuesday. Okay, tomorrow night, 6:15, correct? Yeah. Okay. To discuss that, I think everyone here should make an effort to come, because it's an ongoing problem. It's just getting worse and worse. And I think, you know.
And just roughly, how many are we down? Does anybody, Tim, or anybody know how many volunteers are needed for full staffing?
There's really not a good number. There is no such thing as full staffing. It's just all the help they can get. And then we've got departments that are really short-handed right now.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Is Mr. Chester through? Are you through?
No, I still have one other topic.
Mr. Hester.
All right, on the Sycamore report, for the BEP, the TISA funding, so, guys, I'm not the sharpest when it comes to that math and the BEP formula, and I understand the BEP formula is 17 different calculations within itself.
70 calculations.
Is it 70?
I think it's closer to 70.
Well, yeah, so it is complex by far. We're looking at already at what, a $59 million, $60 million budget for the school, which would bring our current price per student would be at $6,168, would be $9,720 per student. We've been higher, we've been lower, but still, $60 million budget. Are we going to lose money, as Mr. Berry stated earlier? Are we going to lose money with these new calculations? And I've reached out to some people that know more than I about it. They seem to think we won't have an increase in it. So, but I would love to see a dedicated school liaison workshop come back to play for us. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next, Commissioner Bell. It was requested to speak.
Did you do that?
Okay, never mind. Commissioner Berry.
Getting back to Commissioner Hester, I think one of the things that like West Roane County has like 18 members, but they may only have 1 or 2 show up. Tim, I think that's where the real problem is, right? Is when the bell rings, how many are actually going to show up, and then how many do you actually have that can go inside and fight versus can't train because of training and stuff. And I think that was the major issue that we're trying to.
I didn't know you guys were addressing it.
Was just trying to come up with some kind of solution that whatever that is, we don't know either. That's what we got to try to figure
And
out.
Commissioner Barry, you're exactly right. I had my dates wrong. I mean, it is correct on my phone, but it is 6:15 tomorrow.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
Over at the OES.
Yes, sir.
So anyone who can and wants to attend, please come. Any other questions, comments? Let's vote on the motion. Motion passes, those are accepted. Notaries, what notaries do we have to consider tonight?
We have Jonathan West Bennett, Trudy S. Edwards, Beth Hester Forsgren, Cheryl L. Hayden, Hannah Leslie, Treva L. Louie, William Martin, Bonnie Jean Rogers, Luann F. Tussey, Ashley N. Vanover, Terry L. Boland, Hannah J. Ward, Linda J. Wolfenbarger, and Larissa B. Woodall.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hester?
No comment?
Commissioner White?
Nothing to add, just thank these people for their service.
Anyone else? Let's vote on the motion. Notaries are accepted or approved. Next up is hearing of delegation. This is the one time in this meeting where those in the audience can come forward and address the commission. We just ask that you give us your name and address for our records and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Is there anybody on this side that would like to address the commission?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First, I'd like to tell you, appreciate your service you give to this county, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, and the audience, to have such an audience show up for this meeting and show an interest in their county. I think that's magnificent. And I'm here again, I'm Arnold Cox, Mayor of Town of Oliver Springs. I'm here again just to keep fresh in people's minds that we will try to get the high school. We have not complied with or met with the school board yet. My council meeting is on Thursday night, that's when they meet. We plan on trying to get in touch with them this week. And I just want to tell you guys, we have a genuine interest in that building. Some of it will be torn down for parking. I understand there's a need for parking around there, but we have very little facilities in Oliver Springs. We use churches and anything we can get, DAV and any buildings we can get to have, but we don't have a gym. We've got 2 school gyms, but they say very busy. Actually, we've got 3 counting the high school. And our younger population is having a hard time finding a place to practice, et cetera. So we're going to continue to bring that subject up, and I'm just here to remind y'all, and we'll be getting with the school board. I know that's going to with it first, and appreciate you guys' consideration on this. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Cox.
And Mayor,
Yes,
what was the use of the building for community events?
community events, community services, any in the county can use it. Also, if the county has a need, we thought it'd be ideal for like the county auxiliary, county sheriff's office, you know, in there also, maybe have an office there where they could take people to, you know, holding to take them to jail, whatever, or anything like that. It served the county, not just the city, it would serve the whole county.
If it was retrofitted, it's certainly cheaper than building it back.
Sir?
It's certainly cheaper than building it back.
It is cheaper, and there's work that has to be done, but we have volunteers, and we have people that volunteer labor and materials. And what portion would we tore down would go with safety, if we had the building inspected, and what needs to be done, we just have to bring it up to standard and tear down it's harder to bring up to standard. To keep the most recent sections of it in the shop and in the dining room. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else over on this side? Anyone over here? Yes, sir.
No, you go.
Good evening, I'm Alan Lutz. I work at the Roane Alliance, and I am the Director of Education Workforce. I have two things I wanted to mention. First is to say thank you for your support and attendance at the Roane Alliance Gala this past Friday. Closer to my heart, though, I want to bring you up to date a little bit of information about the Roane County Tennessee Scholars Program. And I have a program for those 62 students who have been identified as Tennessee Scholar graduates this school year. I'm going to hand these out for you on that side. Tennessee Scholars Program has been in the county for about a decade. Those students who meet academic requirements for the program attain 95% or higher attendance through the 4 years of high school and complete 60 hours of volunteer service and have no out-of-school suspensions are those students who are identified as Tennessee Scholars. They are identified in school ceremonies with a certificate like this. They receive a medallion similar to this type of medallion. And we had, of course, they are all listed in the program that you're being handed out to you. The first ceremony was on Friday at Oliver Springs High School. And here's a picture of those 7 students who became Tennessee Scholars. The next ceremony is tomorrow morning at Roane County High School. And you can see the names on here. This program is dated the 10th of May because the students actually have through Thursday to meet the qualifications. Some of them are getting their last volunteer hours in. This program will be updated for any additional names that are added to the program or to the list of qualified students. And I just wanted you to know who those students are as of today, 62 students who qualify. And we are very proud of those students, and I want to also thank several of the commission's members who have participated in the ceremonies we've done in the past at the schools themselves. This year we're doing the presentations at the annual school ceremonies at each school instead of a consolidated one big county-wide meeting here at Roane County High School that we've done in the past. So, unless you have any questions, that's all I wanted to let you know, so you're aware of who these 62 students are, and hopefully we'll add a few more. 2 were added today.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Alan, how does 62 compare with previous years? Are we going up in scholars or?
We've had higher numbers in previous years. I will tell you that the pandemic for the last 2 years has heavily hit on these requirements. Usually the volunteer hours, we've even gone to the extent of including volunteer hours that are done through online viewing of career topics, that the same thing that is done with the Tennessee Achieves scholarships, or the Tennessee Achieves program where they accept volunteer hours. We've even done that. But I will tell you, it's been rough the last couple of years.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Charlie Newman with Enbridge. We're the owner and operator of the East Tennessee natural gas system. It's been operating here in Tennessee since 1949. So I'm here today to give you guys an update on the progress on what we call the Ridgeline project opportunity. And so what that is constructing an additional line in our existing right-of-way, as well as an 8-mile lateral here in Roane County that would come down and serve the TVA Kingston power plant. Currently, TVA is still deciding upon what energy source to replace their Kingston plant, and should natural gas be chosen, our pipeline would serve that purpose. So at this point, we've completed geological and environmental surveys. Back in November, we held landowner informational meetings to those who would be affected by the work. And coming this summer, in June, we'll be holding public meetings so that we can hear the concerns and the different variables in the communities where this work would take place. There will also be other opportunities as this goes on. The decision on what energy source to use won't happen until 2023. So we're very early in the process, and the completion of this project wouldn't be until 2026. So just wanted to give you guys an update on where that was, and with the last minute or so, if you guys had any questions.
Mr. Barry?
So will you be a utility within the county
We've been operating in Tennessee since 1949.
through utilities?
They are our customers, so we are the transmission pipeline that supplies power plants and local utilities
So
all
would we
throughout the
have,
state.
would we have a local utility that would be involved in supplying the gas through your transportation system?
Well, the Kingston plant itself would be directly supplied by our line. However, I'm not sure what distribution companies are connected, but we serve many currently all throughout the state. If you look in the packet I gave you, our existing facilities will be on the right-hand side, and so that'll show you where we currently are in your count.
Because we have about 4 right now, in the municipalities.
Right.
But I guess, would that also open up a new supply for us? I'm sure it's going to be a larger line, and well, I think right now, our gas comes in on the other side of Harriman, and then comes all the way down to Rockwood, and then we have another. Would that open up another source if we had an industry that needed lots of gas?
This particular line would be for the Kingston plant itself. It takes a significant quantity of natural gas. But our current system, if there was a need, we would certainly be willing to hear about those and work to try to supply those needs.
So you're not partnering with any of the other local utilities?
I believe we do service some of those local utilities, but they wouldn't be associated with this particular project.
And the 4 public meetings, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd are public meetings?
Yes, sir.
So the closest one would be for the residents in that area is Wartburg, I believe.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do y'all do you have your own line going to TVA?
It would, yes, sir. So our line currently is about 8 miles north of the power plant. So there would be an 8-mile lateral coming off of that line down to the plant.
The reason I asked you, we used to have an asphalt plant, and they run off gas. And we had to pay the utility to run it through their line, but the gas come out of Texas, straight through. We had to pay Texas, but we had to pay them so much to use their line to run it through, but this line won't be nothing like it, right?
Our system is a transmission line. So the way that we operate is you can think of us like a train. But we're transporting natural gas.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Hey, thank you for the time.
Anyone else want to address the commission?
By the way, this gentleman in the pink shirt, he didn't get his hand up fast enough before he switched to this side. So,
No, I was getting up for you. Thank you.
oh, you are? Okay. Hello, I'm John Dennis from Rockwood. I just want to let y'all know that I appreciate your nice personalities and caring and concerns for us in this county and for the things happening on top. I feel secure with y'all and appreciate your personalities once again, Jim Davis. All right, so I have a couple of concerns. One is, Benjamin Franklin, when he was asked, by somebody what they gave us in this Constitution, and he said, he answered, a republic, if you can keep it. And we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, for which I never thought about that word much, which it stands, okay? And anyway, I looked it up in Webster's dictionary. My wife and I, by the way, we pledge every day in our homes to the flag, and have for many years. And, I love it. I love our flag. I love our country, and I love presidents who love our country and leaders who love our country and our Constitution. We're going to have to maybe stand up for a little bit more down the road. But a republic is a state or a nation which the supreme, this is from Webster, by the way, not me. A state or a nation which the supreme power rests in the citizens entitled to vote, the electoral, and is exercised by representatives elected, directly or indirectly, by them and responsible to them. Two is a group whose members have a certain equality or common aims, pursuits, etc. Our aims are life, liberty, freedom of speech, pursuit of happiness, and being able to have freedom of religion and those type of things in our country. And with the third thing is with the president as its titular head, which titular I think means pretty much by title. Okay. At any rate, we're out of time here, but Patrick Henry said, whether this independence will prove to be a blessing or a curse will depend upon the use our people make of the blessings which a gracious God hath bestowed on us. If they are wise, they will be great and happy. If they are of a contrary character, they will be miserable. Righteousness, I know you all heard this one, righteousness alone exalteth a nation. Reader, whoever thou art, remember this, and in thine sphere practice virtue thyself and encourage it in others. And we're being faced with the infiltration, we have been for years, of our Constitution, our government, and we don't want to lose that. And I'm proud of you all here pledging off, so keep it up, and when the time comes where we've got to, we need to push back and fight back, we need to be willing to do that thing. No federal government or no such, whoever it is trying to usurp our freedoms. We just say no. Thank you.
Brother, I'd like to say I thank you for always being conscious of our freedoms and our liberties. God bless you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
My name is Tony Byron, of the 200 Highland Way, Harriman. It's off of Bowman's Bend. Tonight I have two different subjects to talk to you about. First of all is Roane. I always like to give you an update on Roane. We had our first graduation of our IT internship program. With the grants we received, we had an IT intern program. We had a total of 9 people involved in it. There were 6 students and 3 mentors that guided the students. And those were broken down into 3 areas. We had desktop refurbishing, where these people learn how to refurbish computers, which we give away. We had internet networking. We had 2 people working with an internet provider. You probably know him, Brad Taylor. And we had people in a marketing program. And everybody graduated. We had a party at our house April 29th. Everybody graduated. To give you an update on where we stand on giving away computers, we're now up to about 500 computers in the last 2.5 years. Now I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to talk about some activities that are going on at First Christian Church in Harriman. They have a new pastor up there. He's been there less than a year, Phil Merrill. And he started a Feeding Roane program, a program where every Wednesday from 12 to 2 they serve a hot meal at their church. And they've just instituted a food pantry giveaway. When people come for a meal, and they're now servicing about 150 to 200 people every Wednesday, and then they give them a box full of food. Now there's food now, I don't know if you've heard, but Phil's acquired
a $1 million grant for food from the LDS, the Latter-day Saints, $1 million. He's getting a semi-truckload of food every month. We received one in March and one in April. The one in April came in with 15,000 pounds of frozen food and 12,000 pounds of dry goods. There's a warehouse next to, I don't know if you know Roku Relics. That's what Phil started. It's a thrift store, and that's what funds the purchase of the food. Citizens donate furniture, any sort of things into the food, into the Roku Relics. He sells them and buys food, but now we have this grant. Again, $1 million worth of food, 27,000 pounds of food once a month. And I'd like to ask you to get your constituents to come up there on Wednesdays from 12 to 2, get a hot meal, and then take a box of food home. Okay, there's plenty of them. I have a message from Phil. He couldn't be here. This is from Pastor Phil. He says, we have a desire to serve and love others. We would very much like to have you join us. I promise it will make a difference in your life. We need some more volunteers to help us do this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else? Thank you very much for coming. Next on the agenda is County Attorney's Report. Mr. Lefevre.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a brief report. Most of it was covered during the minutes approval. We did close last month on the 2 Galahar Road properties for the ambulance station. The lien that we had been waiting on to be released was finally released. I did get a letter today from the attorney for the Public Utility Board. It will be in your packet next month. Basically what it said, as we all know, the ammonium nitrate is exceeding the level that is allowed by the permit. It didn't impose any fines, but it basically said that if we don't address that, then they will be imposing some fines because we've exceeded the permit level requirements. And the last thing I have is we have property maintenance court this Thursday. That is my report. Does anyone have any questions?
Mr. Lefevre, was that fine, was that the $1,000?
It did not have a number. It just said that it was basically a warning letter that said you need to address this or they will be required to impose a fine.
I was thinking at one time we would cut to $1,000
Today.
a day.
They discussed that, $1,000 a day.
And that was over the same longer.
And we discussed it and had a letter, I think, from our council that we could put the operations of the landfill under their authority as a public utility, so we could make them operate it, so they had to find themselves then.
That's correct. There is a state statute that says that if we make the landfill a public utility, it would fall under the jurisdiction of that board to operate.
Mr. Lefevre, quick question. You say this has to be addressed by us. Would you not say that we're addressing it now and that we're actually trying to find the cause of it, or they actually won't see the numbers come down?
It was a generic letter that just said basically if we didn't address it and take care of it, there would be a fine.
Gotcha.
That was it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
County Executive Report.
So just to follow up with that, what's happened over time is the amount of discharge from the landfill has increased, which means that it's being pumped to the wastewater plant. So if you do not have a lot of water infiltration coming into the landfill, you don't have to discharge because you have no water coming in. So that's one reason, as we're working with TDEC and our engineers, is we're trying to get all the subsurface water off, but we are hoping that what's causing our biggest problem of water is because of these ditches that have basically are not carrying the conveyance away from the landfill. So hopefully that's going to be the solution. That's the best possible scenario here. So As far as my report, just a couple of things, and we've talked about some of them during the committee reports and correspondence, and we have a couple of resolutions, but, you know, I want to go back and say the way, when we started setting up the American Recovery money, it was going to the Budget Committee, anything that was a primary operation of the government. The committee did not get involved until we started looking at things that may not be primary government. Because you got to think that your Budget Committee has been, you know, diligently working for, you know, decades on and off of the members of understanding the budget, understanding where the money is coming from, and understanding what the needs are of the operation. So I don't know that, you know, I've been criticized for going too fast. I've been now criticized for going too slow. So I mean, it's like, okay, I know I'm in a non-win situation on this. You know, the utilities said you're going too fast. Now the utilities are out there saying we need to go faster and faster because we can't get supplies and materials. You know, that is what we experienced. I mean, we were one of the first out of the gate approving. This was long before the ARP committee. We approved the purchases of ambulances. And I think we did the procurement of the ambulances, and our purchasing agent here was last September.
It's been a year ago.
It's been over a year ago since we went on and bid for ambulances. You know when our expectation is? March. Okay? So supplies and materials are not out there. We have made 2 or 3 amendments already to our HVAC systems. So, you know, what we have done, and I think we've done it very successful, we've had some other counties that want to look at it. If it was a primary government function, which is what? It's our HVAC systems that we put in and we're putting in, and we got notified today that, you know, we've got a unit rented over here that is $10,000 a month waiting on our equipment to come in. And then they just notified us the other day is we're going to be another 2 weeks late. So everybody in the nation's trying to get the same supplies and materials that we are. We were fortunate that we did start early. And when we started early, that allowed us to at least lock in some prices. Some of our time got delayed, but we were going forward. So what you're going to see in these resolutions, they are projects. One project, you know, let me go back again. HVAC systems at our facility, at the health department. Then the health department changed and said, if you'll put that money that you're going to the HVAC system, use that as match money, we may get $1 million. And now the health department, State Department of Health, is saying, okay, we hadn't figured it all out yet. We're sitting here, we programmed our $250,000, and with that, we're going to get at least $750,000. But they've kind of put that on hold. We started out, and it's with our TDEC money. TDEC decided, hey, we've got a bundle of money in the state. We want water, sewer, and stormwater dealt with. TDEC said, we're going to give all that money to the county, and county, you divide it up. Then the city said, no, that's not right. You shouldn't do it. You should give it directly to the cities. And then the county said, yeah, we're not into utilities. We don't want to do it. So we came up with a formula to distribute the money we were going to get. Well, in the meantime, the state changed their operations and said, okay, we're going to give money to the cities directly that they can give to their water and sewer departments. So Harriman, here's $1 million. You can give it to HUB. City of Kingston, here's $1 million. You can give it to your water and sewer. Same in Rockwood, same in Oliver Springs, same in Oak Ridge utilities. So when that happened, then we needed to change our formula. And you'll see in a packet today that we're reducing our contribution, we hope, if you all approve it, to free up some money. So instead of us doing a $2.3 million match, where the state said you had to do a 30% match, they now said you got to do a 25% match. They're saying you don't have to be a 30% of the project, you have to do 25% of what you're giving us. So we can kick back into our art money $900,000 if you'll pass one of these resolutions. So, and then we're still looking, and they had a meeting scheduled last week, but I was out of town, so they postponed it till this week to meet with the utilities to see who's going to come on board, how we want to do investments. And it's still our position that as this county legislative body should still contribute some to our city utilities. That being said, we recognize, for instance, just as a for instance, the state's giving them $150 per customer. Our rural utilities are getting no money at all. Your Watts Bar, your Cumberlands, your Roane Central, your Roane County Wastewater, they're getting zero money unless this county legislative body gives it to us. So what we decided to do is let's look at a formula that will give everybody $300, let's say. But if a city's giving $150, we only need to give $150. That means that city customer gets $300, where we can give our rural customers $300. So we're going through all that. This has been going on back and forth with our utilities. The state we've been to meetings in Knoxville with the state, and a lot's been going on dealing with the American Rescue money. And it goes on almost on a weekly basis, and sometimes it goes on a daily basis. So, are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? Well, one thing we do know, any decisions that we make, we generally have an opportunity to change and redirect our course. And that's kind of what we've been doing through all of this. So there's resolutions before you tonight that is the American Rescue money. They have come from the Budget Committee. The men and the women on the Budget Committee that serves to do the financial structure of the county. It is not to give money to nonprofits, 501c. These are items that you use American Rescue money or you use property tax money. It has been our goal to, anytime we can save money for the taxpayers, we should save money for the taxpayers. We've looked at our financials. We started working on the 2023 budget, and quite frankly, we're probably in the best physical position we've ever been. So I'm recommending to this legislative body, trust your Budget Committee, who is at the core of the financial planning of this organization, and not necessarily an ad hoc committee. Let's let the ad hoc committee function in something that's not the primary government's responsibility. So the example is, if you need a new roof, the Budget Committee has a capital plan that goes out 20 years. We know where a lot of things are. Should that new roof go to another committee? Should we form an ad hoc committee for roofs? You've got to give some trust to the Budget Committee and to some of the staff that's been working on this thing diligently for 6 or 8 months. It's fixing to come to an end, but the thing about it is, this money will not be spent for probably 2 or 3 more years. There's a lot that's going to take place. So just when we come up with these resolutions, I may speak to them specifically, but in general, the Budget Committee, through our capital planning, has started plugging this stuff in, and we did it at day one. We've told this commission back in July, August, when it's set up, is that the first things we're going to look at is the capital plan for our county. And let's protect the taxpayer. So that's kind of where we're at. So you can send these things to committee. You can, like I've said before, we can kill any project we want to in a committee. But we're trying to do what is best for our citizens. And I've got a lot of confidence in our Budget Committee as they're looking at their primary government functions. Some of these came about because, okay, we're in their 2023 budget, Okay, what's in there from the capital plan that we sent in there 2 or 3 years ago? What's new that's happened? So we started plugging it, so some of these came from the budget committee, and I think that's the appropriate way it should have been. I think that's the way we have discussed it as a legislative body for the last 6 months. So let's don't, I would recommend not change the policy to slow it down or to get somebody else some money when it was a primary government function to begin with. You know, we had that check sheet to go. Is it primary government? Yes or no. If it's not, we went down through a flow chart of checking off the projects. So that's kind of my report, but it also deals with a group of resolutions that's coming forth.
Commissioner East, you have the right.
Mr. Woody, on, you had the first engineers over there to bring this pipeline stuff down over this water, coming out of the landfill.
Yes.
Will there be any money come back to the county for what they have already done or anything? And how much more will it cost the engineers to do?
Well, see, we've got the engineering contract out there now, and we've got a construction emergency work order contract out there. Neither one of them we have firm dollar amounts. That's what our problem is, because I was out there today. I was out of town last week, most of the week, so I went down there today to see what kind of work's been done. Well, there's a track hole down there, and the track hole has dug some of the loose soils out, but it has not been filled yet. It has not, the liner has not been put back on or in.
But in other words, there'll be more cost to the engineers that's going to do the rest of it, right?
Yeah, there's going to be more cost to it, and dealing with it ties into our leachate. We're hoping where we're having that problem, because, we received a grant last year from the state TDEC trying to solve that at $100,000, and it did not work.
That's the pumps they put in.
That was, well, yes. That was that holding tank down there we had to put in.
That's all I have. I just want to thank you.
Yes, Mr. Berry?
Yeah, let me just start by saying, I don't think anybody is questioning. I thought we had it put to rest when we had about an hour and a half discussion one night about the ARP committee, when we said, it can go to the ARP committee so that we know how much money we've got, where to direct it, and then it'll go to the budget committee. And the budget committee has to approve it because they're the financial people. And we had a resolution to dissolve the ARP committee. That failed. So we were working along fine, I thought, until.
That was for
Wait just a minute.
That was for the non-primary government, Mr. Berry. Go back and look at the minutes. It was the non-primary government.
Mr. Berry has the floor.
But he needs to be telling the truth.
Oh, so now I'm lying.
No, I'm saying you don't understand or you don't remember. The primary government was dealing with, that was the budget committee.
This way, the problem that we have is it comes from the budget committee straight to this board from an hour's meeting or so we have no time. We have no time to look at anything or to research anything. So it's coming from the budget committee meeting at, a lot of times at 5 o'clock to this meeting at 7 o'clock, and there's our money.
Well,
no, wait just a minute, Mr. Wood.
But you said it wrong again, Mr. Berry.
Just a minute.
The recommendations, if you go back into our budget committee, these resolutions were recommended last April.
These were.
Last April.
These were.
You've had them for a month.
But
You've had them for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Nobody called me.
But nobody said anything about these 4. I'm talking about in general, Mr. Wood. But, and like in resolution, we'll talk about the resolutions when they come up to it. We need to debate them twice on this thing. That's why I thought the ARP committee, we've granted a lot of money. We've granted a lot of money. I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Next up, special orders. Special order number 1, confirmation of the appointment of Richard Owens to the Roane County Board of Zoning Appeals as an alternate for Kingston. The new term will expire May 31st, 2026. We have a motion. by Hester, second by Gann. Commissioner Hester.
No comment.
Commissioner Gann.
Nothing further, sir.
Anyone else? Let's vote on the resolution. Mr. Owens, it's approved. Next up is confirmation of the reappointment of the following people to the Board of Equalization. Greg, can these be done as a whole?
Yes.
They can be done as a whole. So this is to confirm Cecil Crowe, Freddie Harvey, Donna Davis, Carolyn Granger, Mary Holly, and back to the Board of Equalization with Charles Lee Case as an alternate. New terms expire May 31st, 2024. We have a motion by Hester, second by White. Commissioner Hester.
No comment.
Commissioner White.
These people have done a good job.
Anyone else? Let's vote on this. They are confirmed for reappointment. Next item is zoning resolution. That's resolution, the first resolution is resolution number 5-22-010, a resolution of Roane County Planning Commission recommending action by the Roane County Legislative Commission on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map as requested by Bill Chesney on behalf of Rogers Group, Inc. to rezone map 007, parcel 015.00 from A2 developing agriculture to I1 light industrial to 1-3 heavy industrial district. We have a motion by Commissioner Hester. We have a second by Commissioner Bell. Commissioner Hester.
We've heard from the public, no comment.
Okay, Commissioner Bell.
Nothing further.
Anyone else? Vote on the resolution. Resolution is approved. Next up, Resolution 5-22-02Z, a resolution of Roane County Planning Commission recommending action by the Roane County Legislative Commission on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map as requested by Troy Arquette to rezone map 007, parcel 97 from A2 developing agriculture to C1 general commercial. We have a motion from Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Gann. Commissioner Hester.
We've heard from both parties, so no comment.
Commissioner Gann.
Yeah, so, Mr. Arquette, if it's okay, I guess I can speak like this. If I can't, somebody call me to order and I'll sit down. So,
No, you're good.
okay. I will echo what one of the ladies said. And she said that we want people to have businesses. And everybody on this body here, there's 13 here tonight, everybody here wants Roane County to have businesses. We want to grow. And the way the county grows is to have a business. That's how we grow. That's how we grow taxes. And that's how we get to grow services. I listened to what the residents said, and I listened to what you said, ma'am, and you said some very good things. You know, I appreciate what you want to do for the county, and I don't know if you're a resident of the county, if you grew up here or not, I've never met you. But I appreciate that you thinking that our county is beautiful, you know, and it is. I do live close to that area. I have a small place of my own, and I love my privacy, and I love my neighbors, and I love being able to sit out on my porch in the afternoon. Or I enjoy when I come home from work and being around so many folk. I enjoy coming home, getting to rest and relax. I do. And I understand what the residents are saying. I really do. I don't understand so much about the roadway or the land development, whatever trouble you may have to go through to get sewage in there or electric in there and all these things. I don't know. You know, I'm sure you count the cost. That's what Business 101 is. But I don't know if there's a price you pay on being able to sit on your porch or walk into your neighbor's house and just having that peace. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy that. So I appreciate you, I really do, I appreciate it, and I hope for your benefit that if this doesn't work out for you, I hope that you find some place that may be more suitable where people want that and people do. I mean, because we do need it. We do need businesses. Without a business, we might as well shut the county off at the line because we're not going to make it. And we need small businesses. We need people who are going to start out with 7 campsites and build a windrock. You know, we need that. We need that here in this county. So I wish you luck. I really do. I'm not against you. I'm not against the small business. And so I do wish you luck. And I appreciate you. But I also understand the neighbors. And I understand, I value my peace in my community and my home. But I just wanted to say that to you, and know that I appreciate you.
Absolutely, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Let's vote on the resolution. Fails on majority vote. Next resolution is Resolution 5-22-030, a resolution of Roane County Planning Commission recommending action by the Roane County Legislative Commission on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map as requested by Mark Eddings to rezone map 004 parcel 070.04 from A2 developing agriculture to C1 general commercial. We have a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Gann. Commissioner Hester.
This came from the committee with a denial. Nothing further.
Commissioner Gann.
Nothing about it.
Anyone else? Let's vote on the resolution. Resolution fails. We're now on new business. Resolution 5-22-01, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to file lawsuits against each property owner regarding the properties as listed on attached case request form by violating Roane County Resolution number 2101, April of 2013, regarding Roane County zoning regulations and/or resolution number 101-14-03 regarding overgrown vegetation and accumulated debris. Motion by Hester, second by Gann. Commissioner Hester.
Past practice, actions that we've done in the past, nothing further.
Commissioner Gann.
Nothing further, sir.
Anyone else? Vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Resolution 5-22-02, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to file a lawsuit regarding properties that's listed on attached case request form by violating Roane County Resolution 12-18-05 and/or Resolution 12-18-06 regarding 2018 International Building Codes and 2018 International Residential Codes. We have a motion by Wilson, second by Hester. Commissioner Wilson.
I think he's working hard to get this cleaned up.
Commissioner Hester.
Nothing further.
Anyone else? Let's vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Resolution 5-22-03, a resolution amending the general purpose school fund 141, reflecting changes in revenue/expenditure estimates for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. We have a motion by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Bell. Commissioner Wilson?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Bell?
Nothing further.
Anyone else? Let's vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Resolution 5-22-04, a resolution that will allow Building and Codes Department to hire an additional person to help manage the increase in paperwork. We We have a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Hester.
So we spoke to this in the past, and I think I've spoke on this as well. This was a resolution that we're retabling or bringing back in front of us. It's been through the budget committee, I'm understanding. So, but anytime we grow government and anytime we add an employee, well, it's peak business. When that peak is no longer, that employee is no longer. So that employee is tied to our business now, that they can afford and pay for it. But when that peak goes down, we can't retain that employee. So I just want to make that, nothing further.
Good point. Commissioner Wilson.
This has been through the budget, and looking at their workload, I see it as a very much needed asset that they're going to need for quite a while. They're kind of on the overload, and we can expeditiously move some things along, and I think this would be a great asset. They do a great job. That's it.
Commissioner Cunningham.
This came to the Building and Codes Committee, and like Mr. Hester said, things do go up and down, but right now they are so far up, and we just need to address the situation as it stands now, which is they need money.
Agreed. Commissioner Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I chair the Building and Codes, and we see those numbers at the committee just about every other month. I think that's what we meet now, is every other month. The numbers are just continue going up, and I appreciate what our Commissioner Hester says, and that's with any department. When the demand is not there, or the revenue is not there, then we have to make a sacrifice. But let's don't load up the horse if we don't have to. Said from a country boy.
Anything else? Any other comments, questions? Commissioner Berry.
So we can go ahead and add them now, and then just this budget 45,884, so 44,248.
Yeah, so the current budget amendment is for the remainder of the year, and then we noted in it that the next year's cost is 45,884, salary, benefits, and all. So we've got that built in next year's budget.
Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Vote on the resolution. That passes. I knew that there'd be some happy people. I figured Glenn would be doing cartwheels, but fortunately, no. Okay, let's see. Resolution 5-22-05, ARC Project 17, amended additional courthouse/jail HVAC cost. We have motion by Hester, second by White. Commissioner Hester?
Nothing further.
Commissioner White?
Nothing to add.
Anyone else? If I remember correctly, that was a price increase perhaps, something like that?
Yeah, I think this one was a price increase.
Okay. Commissioner Bell?
You almost got my question there. Price increase for the HVAC?
Yeah, we got an HVAC one in the sheriff's department here at the courthouse, the old jail.
Is this the one that hadn't been before the ARP committee? 'Cause I don't remember.
I don't recall.
Has it been before the ARP?
Yeah, now this one's been in front of us. It was an increase, also has been in front of us too.
Yeah, we've got another one, we're gonna have another one just because we can't get
So
our
this
unit.
one has been
Yes,
before
sir.
your committee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Right, I remember seeing the initial cost and increase in cost. So,
Kind of a supply chain issue from what I recall,
yeah.
like everybody else.
Well, we come up with estimates, and then we have to bid it out. We have to come up with estimates, and you all have to approve it before we go to bid. And then when the estimates come in different, or there's a different engineering that's taking place, it's just, nothing's concrete on this stuff when it comes to you all the initial first time. We're not really permitted to bid out before you all have given us an authorization.
Commissioner Berry?
So this, I think this is about the second or third one in it, so that's what's happened, is we
And
bid
we
it
got,
out.
and we got another
We
one.
appropriated so much money, we bid it out, and it was higher, and then now this one's come in.
Yeah, and like I said, we're gonna have to bring another one to you all when we figure out how long it's gonna take to get the unit put in now. We had enough contingency money, but that's gone now.
So would this have been a property need that didn't have to come to the ARP committee?
Yes, this is the primary government.
But it came anyway.
Yeah, it may have come anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Let's vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Okay, resolution 5-22-06, ARP project number 18 amended. A resolution to amend the general capital project fund 171 DEC to reflect the reduction in the required TDEC match. We have a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Gann. Commissioner Hester.
I think the requirement was lowered, and I can yield to Mr. Woody on that, but I'm certain of that
That's what it
our
was.
participation costs lowered in this, so nothing falling.
No,
Is that
correct.
900,000?
Yes.
Commissioner Gann?
Nothing.
Anyone else?
What do we see that 970,000?
Well, it becomes ARP money, and either it goes to primary government or it will go to the ARP committee for distribution.
So it won't stay with utilities
That is correct.
unless we
Unless
have
you all-
authorize it back.
Unless
back
you
to
all
the
authorize it back to it, that's correct. It becomes undesignated, unrestricted.
Because I would just say, all of our utilities are hurting badly. The cities have gone out into the county to do utility work, where they would have been under a long time ago. So if there's really anything, and I don't know, I guess we're having a utility meeting Thursday, Wednesday.
Wednesday or Thursday
Yeah, so
morning, we have
maybe some of that will come out, but I'm not saying we need to do all of it, but it'd sure be nice if we could, of course, if you start breaking it up to the number of utilities, then there's not much money to allocate each one, so.
And part of the issue we're having is the utilities coming back with projects too. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, a whole lot of moving parts.
I mean, we've got projects just like we have up at Pine Ridge Road where we gave Harriman some money for sewer. You know, there's another project going on down at the lake in Rockwood. I think the city of Rockwood put some money in, and they put an allocation in. I think I saw something where they.
Our request?
Yeah.
They've had a request.
So if we can, I think it's worth looking at from a utility standpoint, because as Mr. Ester's indicated a couple of times tonight, that's growth. That's the investment that the ARP money, I think, was one of the intentions of that. So just food for thought. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir. So, no dollar has been spent thus far out of TDEC funding, is that correct?
That is correct.
So it is heavily restricted, even the Pine Ridge project you just spoke of. TDEC is not paying for that, ARP paid for that.
We paid for that, right?
Yeah, ARP.
Right.
But I would have swore TDEC would have qualified for paying for extending a sewer.
And at the end of the day, they may, but, you know, it's one of those things that.
Because this month, this 2.3 million, or well, when you add our 900,000 to it, 3.1, it's heavily restricted.
But that was just the grant amount. That was our 25%, 30% down to 25%.
But still, it is heavily restricted on spending that.
Yes.
And I see difficulty even spending what we've
Well,
got.
now, so just a clarification, our 1.3 allows us to pull down 5.3.
Yeah.
So you've got almost $7 million. And we've created another formula that we've worked with the utilities a time or two on how we think is equitable to distribute to that. But the utilities are saying is, okay, let's get together to make sure all the utilities are gonna apply for it, because there's some question that some utilities may not apply for it. And that may release more money up for some of the other utilities. And then we've had some discussion that the cities may not distribute some of their money that's eligible to the utilities. So you may have a utility that likes it, needs it, and the city's sitting here with 1.1 million, but the city has to match it. You know, and we're willing here, you all are willing to put $1.3 million of our ARP money in. If a municipality's not willing to put $300,000 in, they may not get a draw down their million. So there's a heck of a lot of moving parts here.
And all of the utilities have to agree on the TDEC money, right? That's part of the agreement with the TDEC.
That's what we heard up until 2 weeks ago, and then TDEC changed their mind on it. They basically said this body gets to decide on our money and the other utilities don't have to, and that came out a week or 2 weeks ago. That's how this stuff changes on us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Next up is Resolution 5-22-07, ARC Project 21, lift bed for the Roane County Office of Emergency Services. We have a motion by Commissioner Hester, second by Wilson. Commissioner Hester?
We've debated this one long enough, so nothing false.
Okay. Commissioner Wilson?
Now, this one actually got, rectified the solution through resolution through the OES, and that's buying a new one for the ambulance service through the OES, and their surplus is going to go to the Roane County Rescue Squad to rectify the problem that was brought by through Commissioner Ferguson. Nothing else.
Anyone else? Vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Resolution 5-22-08, ARC Project 23, courthouse water line and concrete repairs. Motion by Hester, second by Wilson. Commissioner Hester?
So I walked that down earlier, only because we have an event later on this month. Kenny took me out there and showed me some of the issues on the front steps and everything else, so no comment, nothing false.
Commissioner Wilson?
Nothing further. It's something needed.
Anyone else? Vote on the resolution. Resolution passes. Resolution 5-22-09, ARC Project 24, a resolution approving from Fund 171 ARP, noted as project number 24, up to $500,000 for post-closure costs related to the closed Roane County landfill. We have a motion by Hester, motion by Wilson, second by Hester. Commissioner Wilson?
Unless Mayor Woody has anything to add that we've already discussed.
We're just going to have to fix it, that's all I know. And whatever it costs, we're going to have to pay for it. We're taking a stab in the dark here.
Commissioner Hester?
No comment?
Anyone else?
Yeah. Has this been before the committee?
I think it has. Now, guys, don't rely on my memory, but we've talked that landfill multiple times, and I believe it's came before the ARP committee.
I was just saying.
I think we had a dollar in
It may not have, but it was listed as a project that would be incurred.
Quite frankly, I think what came before
I had it before, but thank you. What, we're going to have to do something to figure out this crosstalk. I mean, it went on over here 5 minutes earlier over debate, back and forth, couldn't let everybody talk, get a pause between it, calm down, call for the floor, something, at least a pause. Don't jump in when somebody's talking. I'm not speaking to you, just you, Mr. Woody, I'm speaking for all of us. And I'm bad about doing it, but we need to really focus on that. That's all I have.
Thank you. See, Mr. Barry, do you have a question, or somebody had a question for the speaking?
Mr. Chairman, may I speak? I don't have a button that I can
Yes,
hit
sir, you
and
do.
announce
You may.
it. So, I think what the ARP committee may have discussed, and I know the budget committee has, it was not when we had this divot, it was the leachate issue. So, you know, we're dealing with two things that are moving here. So I don't know whether the ARP committee dealt with this. I know we've been talking about this landfill situation, and this is problem A, and let's hope problem A solves problem B. If not, we may be, you know, you all passed a resolution last month, the month before last, that you pledged to the state of Tennessee that you would do proper post-closure care of our landfill. And you basically did that so you didn't have to put a $2 million bond up.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Let's vote. Resolution is approved. Next item is 5-22-10. ARP Project 25, Critical Employee Adjustment Pay for the Roane County Sheriff's Department for the next 2 years. We have a motion by Wilson, second by Hester. Commissioner Wilson?
This is something I've been keeping up with quite a bit. This has been through the budget committee. This is money that's going to come out of the ARP, and we should have the money to take care of that and keep funding this along. Guys, we're in a critical situation as far as what's happening at the Sheriff's Department. I don't know if everybody's keeping on. We're losing them left and right unless we want to keep employees. What we're battling is Y-12 is currently hiring right now. Currently hiring. And if you're military, law enforcement, I ran interviews for, just like Hester does, for 17 hours with people that is coming up there for wanting jobs. And they're coming from your local places like Roane County Sheriff's Department, Kingston, Harriman, Rockwood. And right now, we're at the lowest tier of pay, and I would just love to see this get put back up there so we quit losing employees so easily. So easily. Guys, they do a tremendous job, and their safety is actually in jeopardy the way that they're putting low numbers out there and trying to keep the community safe. I keep up with this. I watch this. This is near and dear to my heart, and guys, I see a critical situation that's going on that needs to be fixed quickly. That's all I have.
Anyone else?
1 second.
Commissioner Gann?
Yeah, I'd just like to speak of something about what Ben said, and something kind of touches home.
Sorry about that.
Where I live at over in Dickey Valley, 3 o'clock the other morning, there was two, what appeared to be teenage boys at 3 o'clock in the morning, walked up on a family's porch, and they have a doorbell. And it's one of those bells where you can see, so it's video records. Now, 3 o'clock in the morning, having 2 teenage boys, and I'm not talking about living in the city, I'm talking about living in the country, in a rural area like I live. There's no need for that. There's no business for that. So I asked the sheriff if they could drop by there. This morning when I left to go to work at 4:50, there was a cruiser going down my road about 10 miles an hour with his spotlights on. We need that. I need that. My community needs that. My people need that. I need that for my home. And that family that is scared now because they had somebody on their porch when they shouldn't have, they need that. And so they appreciate our law enforcement, but it's a challenge for them. We're short patrolmen, and it's a huge challenge. So we need these guys.
Commissioner Ferguson, I skipped Commissioner Hester over here, so we'll go to him, then I'll come back to you.
So every time I work, every time we open up a job posting, we've had over 600 applicants apply. So, I mean, we've trained Roane County Tennessee Highway Patrol, all the local law enforcement. So we're a direct feeder out of Roane County to my work. So understand it, and we're now paying them $38.5 or $39.5. TDOC is paying $44.5 with a $5,000 signing bonus. So it's hard to compete against. When you got people leaving here going to Cumberland Utility, leaving the sheriff's office to go work at Cumberland Utility because the pay is better and benefits are better. So nothing else.
Mr. Ferguson.
I have a couple of things. Number one is, last year, I think everybody, what did we give, 8% raise in the budget last time to everybody? All county employees, am I right on that?
That is correct. We gave an 8% pay
Okay,
raise
now,
and also
here's the
raised
thing about it
4%
is-
on their insurance.
Okay, here's the thing about this, and I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I got is, what about these other county employees? I mean, how are we gonna treat them? Are we gonna give them 5% next month? Because we're gonna give Sheriff's Department 5%. These employees in the county, they're as important as anybody else, and I agree with what Commissioner Wilson said about the Sheriff's Department, but these other people got to live too. And my other question is, if we do this for 2 years, is my understanding, the way I understand it, that'll be 2024, then what are we gonna do? If we're all still on here, what are we gonna do then? We're gonna have to raise taxes. Think we cover this, or either cover, what is the salary? What is the budget for that, for the salary?
3.3 cents over $470,000. The penny's valued at $140,000.
Okay, so, in other words, what you're saying is, if we vote for this, then we don't have to worry about no tax increase
Not for
down the
2
road? Then in 2 years, you're going to raise taxes, right?
You'll have to do something to come up with that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't, and I agree with what everybody said, but I just don't think it's fair to give them 5% and not give the whole county employees another 5%. That's
Mr.
my
Chairman.
thoughts on it.
Mr. Woody.
So the budget committee, as we are developing and putting the budget together, what has been looked at is that, the critical employees that have vacancies, okay? You're looking at the vacancy issue. When you have, let's say, 36 officers that are patrol officers, and you, over the last 12 months, have maintained 6 to 8 vacancies, that's an issue, okay?
That's all over the state.
Well, it's not, it's all over part functions of government, not all governments. We don't have every office doesn't have a vacancy. Connie's filled more vacancies probably the last 2 years. And why is it? Well, once you get trained in accounting, you can go somewhere else and work. But some of our offices have very stable employment, okay? And that's good. That's what you're wanting. What we tried to look at is what even the state says is critical employees. What ones of those are you having vacancies you cannot fill? So last year we had to do adjustment. This board did an adjustment for our EMS services because, quite frankly, not only do you want a patrol person to answer a call, but you want the analyst to show up when you need it. So those areas that we saw had high vacancies, high turnover was trying to be looked at. Next year's budget, it is a 5% across the board for all employees. There was only adjustments going on in the Sheriff's Department, and it wasn't all the Sheriff's Department employees. You know why? Because the upper tier, or the lower tier, the higher ranking officers, we're not having turnover there. We had to focus on the areas that we were having turnover and saying, okay, why is that happening? Well, at one time, we got employees that would come to us instead of going to Morgan Regional. You know what happens? That don't happen anymore. They leave us and go there, baby. Or at least we're not kind of poaching off of the state. You know, I had a conversation with Senator Yeager. I said, Senator Yeager, you know what you've done to us locally? We don't have, and Senator Yeager's response was, I'm having to deal with the organization that I'm responsible for. So we started having to deal with the organization we're responsible for. Hey, it may have a ripple effect on your cities.
I'm sure it does, probably.
But, I mean, the question is, do you want a full fleet of officers out there that's been approved? And you make a good point. Now, what we're hoping to happen, and again, this is how you project budgets, and we're projecting a $120 million budget, I guess. So you've got $235,000 roughly, I think is what this cost is. We hope that the growth that's coming through, we just added an employee for codes because building's booming. We're hoping that revenue will help pay so you don't look at a 3-cent tax increase. I mean, but there's a lot of moving parts here, and there's some good questions, but you know, you also suffer this, and we don't like to talk about it, though I've experienced it. I've experienced it as in Connie's position in the 80s. I've experienced it as a consultant at UT. The elected officials have the right to sue. So we have to negotiate with the sheriff. So this, you don't prove it, fine. You know, you may get sued, and then the number may be twice that or 3 times that.
Like I say, I don't have the problem. My God, it's, you know, the other employees and down.
Yeah, that's the reason we're doing a 5% with them, but we're trying to focus on the adjustment on the vacancy of critical employees.
But my question was, down the road, we're going to raise taxes. I won't go on the record saying I'm not voting to raise no taxes. You know, and I don't have a thing, I think we got a great sheriff's department that I don't, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm speaking for the others too, because I've been approached by several people the last 2 days about this. How come we're not going to get no raise?
But they are. See, it's like you said, there was an 8% last year to 5% this year.
It's 8% across the board last year.
Yeah.
Okay, now,
Yeah.
we're gonna go 5% here, then 5% next year's
But-
budget too, right? Is that what you're saying, or this year's budget?
Well, it's this coming year's budget is what we're proposing, but if you all remember still the 8%, that's because there was not a raise the previous 2 years. So you gave no raise for 4 years back, 3 years back, 2 years back, but all of a sudden you were doing a catch-up. We bonused out, but it didn't go to the bottom line. So that's the reason you saw an 8%. In all essence, it was about 3 or 4%, depending on if it went over 3 years or 2 years.
Anything else, Commissioner Ferguson? Commissioner Berry?
Yeah.
I think it's Bill. Or Bell, I'm sorry, Bell.
Briefly got touched on a few things there. One, I'd like to know, I'm just gonna call it what it is, it's gonna be a tax raise. I would like to know from you how much, what's that look like cents-wise? I think you said
3.3.
3.3, is that correct?
That's, I mean, no.
Well, if
Well,
you said
no.
230, then it's not.
If we did it
3.3.
today,
No, it would be about a 1.5 cent, 1 3/4.
and then my next question would be, who all in the sheriff's office is it going to?
I think it's the 4 categories of entry level.
So the road officers,
The jailers,
the jailers,
and then the sergeants, corporals, or lieutenants there, because if you.
what about the sergeants and lieutenants and corporals is getting it as well?
I think it's the first 4, because what happens is, the gap between them all is if you do the adjustment to the guards and the road officers, they're making more than their bosses. So you had to adjust those up. But once you got hired, the spread was further apart.
What about the detectives and investigators?
I don't think so. I don't think they, we have.
So the road officer would make more than them?
No. They're still making more, and we've had no turnover we are aware of in detectives and investigators. So they're still gonna make more than the four categories below them. And this is kind of what we worked out with the sheriff's department and the chiefs, and we went back and forth for several days just figuring out we wanted to be fair to everybody. You can't have somebody in a higher ranking making less than someone in a lower ranking. So that's how the adjustment went about.
I'm just wondering what would separate the investigators and detectives from the road officers, how much that would be,
10.
or if it'd be enough.
8,000 or 10,000? I don't know.
I mean,
That's
got one
a
in here
good
right
question
now,
for the
so-
sheriff and his employees.
Right. So I guess they've got it all worked out.
They were, yeah. I mean,
Because the detectives do a lot of work.
Anything else?
I think that's all I got.
Commissioner Baird?
Yeah, and as has been discussed, but this, Knox County right now is 150 employees short in the sheriff's department. That's probably clerks all the way up. I guess my concern basically is we're giving 6 cents back, taking 3 cents right off the bat that the taxpayers don't know about. So if you look at, was that right, 3%?
I think it was a
Well,
one and a half. He was looking
I did
at
it for the whole 4
1 and a half,
Yeah.
1 and a half this time. I can only tell you that back when we got a couple $1 million from the uranium enrichment program at Oak Ridge, we sort of did the same thing that we're doing with the TVA money that we did, and the same thing with the ARP money. We operated on it. And we didn't raise taxes, we didn't even adjust the budget, and pretty soon, the next thing you know, we were out of free money and had to start paying again. I think the difference then and there is we've got better handles on our financing now than we had then, and better recommendations. But and again, this is about what, a $5,000 raise, is that what I heard or saw in the paper?
Oh my goodness,
For the sheriff?
It was
we worked on this
36
$3,600.
to 36,044. You have the 5% plus 3,000.
Okay, so we were up to 44,000.
Yeah.
How many people are you hiring in at Oak Ridge at 44,000? None. So if we do this, what guarantees are we having that that's going to slow that spigot down?
There's no guarantee.
We will continue to pull from those.
That's right, and it's going to happen. I just think, to be honest with the taxpayers, I'd like to amend this to do the raise and put it in next year's budget.
Okay, so you're going to offer an amendment?
Yes, instead of the ARP
Okay,
money.
state it one more time.
Instead of the ARP money, put it in the budget, and let's operate on, as we're going, I think 5% for employees, and whatever that percent is for the
You're talking about for the coming fiscal year?
coming fiscal year.
So I guess what I'm hearing is if it is in next year's budget, you're just saying do not use the ARP funds to help fund it. So if that's,
Well, the sheriff's raises aren't in the budget, are they?
yeah,
For next year?
yeah.
So why would we have it in the budget and use ARP money?
Well, the budget is the expenditure side. The ARP money is the revenue side.
So we're inflating the revenue side with ARP money.
We're bringing the money over.
Okay.
We're bringing the money over and put it in our reserve and then spending the reserve down.
So yeah, then I would just use budgeted money
So,
and no ARP money.
well, if I should suggest if that's what the pleasure of the commission is, the thing to do is to defeat the resolution.
Do you still want to offer the amendment?
Yeah, I'd like to offer the amendment.
Okay, we have an amendment on the floor. Is there a second to the amendment?
Would you could explain that one more time, Commissioner Barrett, what you said?
I'm just saying, let's don't use ARP money to fund the raise for the sheriffs. We're not using ARP money for our employees, right?
That's correct.
It'd just be the sheriff's people. So So we would take that penny and a half, or whatever that number is, and just leave it in our budget without putting the ARP money in there. And see if we can go back like we've discussed here and use the ARP money in some other way that's an investment for our county.
Yeah, just as a clarification, I thought this was going to ask Connie. The 5% is in the budget next year anyway. All that this was the adjustment. This only dealt with adjustment. I mean, your argument may be the same, but this, just for clarification, 5% across the board is being funded by regular operations.
So are they getting 5% plus the additional?
Yes.
So what would they be getting total?
Are you talking on the adjustment?
Yeah, so the sheriff's department folks would get 5% plus.
Plus the 235,000 across between the two departments is what the adjustment was, not the 5%.
Not the 5%.
Okay. So we're still $35,000?
The 230, yeah, the 235 is what we were taking from the reserve, which was the adjustment. The 5% was coming through our regular operations.
Because the other thing we got to worry about too is 2 years from now, whoever's sitting around this table when this runs out, then you got to come back and you're either going to adjust, and like you said, maybe we've got enough new revenue to do that with, and maybe we don't. And now you're going to take money away. That's when the exit's going to happen. So.
Okay, so you do have the amendment on the floor. Do we have a second to the amendment?
Yeah, so,
We have a second to the amendment.
it ain't on here to push, yeah.
Okay. Greg, do we vote on the
You
amendment?
vote on the amendment next.
Okay. I guess that will have to be by roll call.
Do it all voice vote, it'll be easier.
Do what?
Do it all by voice vote.
That's what I meant.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
does his amendment supersede the ability for the other two commissioners to speak?
Well, you still can speak on the amendment. You have your speech right now would be limited to the amendment.
Okay. Commissioner Cunningham, would you like to speak to the amendment, or do you want to wait and see?
I don't know.
Good question.
Well, what I was gonna say was that we voted earlier to help out the Building and Codes office, and that's out of cycle. And we took money here and moved it there and did that, and if it's that critical, then if it's critical, then it's critical. And from what they're all saying, it's critical. Is it not critical, or is it?
Mr. Chairman, can I answer that question?
Is it okay?
I don't care.
Yeah, Mr. Barrett, would it?
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So, this is not out of cycle, though. This is preparing for next year's budget. And it's really, as Mr. Barry had said, it's, okay, where do you get the revenue? Where do you get the money to pay for the adjustment? And we've got three sources. You can raise taxes, you can take it out of the regular fund balance, or you can take it out of the ARP money. But it is for next year's budget. It is not making any adjustment. The passing of this resolution tonight makes no adjustment to anybody's pay until the budget is adopted. It's just saying that we recognize that 5% in the budget is covered. This right here, the adjustment, let's cover it by critical pay. And let's cover the critical pay by ARP money. So it's not out of cycle. It's just saying, okay, where do we want to get this money next year?
Okay, so they're not gonna immediately see these
No,
raises.
they will not. The budget has to be adopted by this body. That just gives us guidance to say, okay, yeah, you can use the ARP money to do it. I mean, if you adopt this resolution, it kind of implies that they're going to get the adjustment and the adjustment and where it's coming from. But once we adopt the budget, you still have to adopt a budget with a 5% raise and the adjustment in it, and everything else that's in the budget.
Okay, Commissioner Cunningham, anything else?
That's all.
Commissioner Bell, you want to speak to the amendment?
I do. The reason I like the amendment is not the ARP money, but it's just making the decision to go ahead. It's taxes at the end of the day. We're raising the taxes for something that we really need. I would like to see the detectives and investigators get a raise as well, but that'd be another amendment, maybe at another time. I think we don't need to mess with our ARP money. We just need to put this in the budget as is, if it has to raise taxes, it raises taxes, you know. But it's a needed thing. I agree that we don't need to use ARP money to do it. We can just take ARP off there, and when this comes up on the budget, we can decide where to pull it from then and have a vote on it then. That way it assures it comes here for that purpose alone. But what I like is, we need to handle it. If we're gonna give them a raise, which they need, we need to tell the public what we're doing. We're raising taxes to do this, whether it's in 2 years, a year, 5 years. We need to tell them tonight, not put it on another commission that didn't have anything to do with it. That's all I've got.
Anything else? Commissioner Ferguson, you have.
I agree with Commissioner Bill. We need to go ahead and just do away with the ARP money, put it out there, and let the taxpayers know what we're doing, because we're either gonna do it next year, or who's ever here next year, or the next year one, there's gonna be a tax increase. So we might as well just do it this way, and that way we'll have it.
Anything else? Commissioner Hooks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know, I'm not the sharpest pencil over here, I don't guess, but it seems to me like $235,000 savings coming out of the ARP money is going to be a $235,000 savings to the taxpayer. If we don't do it, with the ARP money tonight, the cost is going to be $235,000 more to the taxpayers. That's my comment.
Anyone else? Commissioner Berry?
But I think, again, the difference is, we're not putting a burden on somebody 2 years from now to come up with that additional money. It's in there. We raised their taxes to do this, and I think it's very appropriate. These folks need it. We need them on the roads. Just the difference is, we're playing with our kids' piggy bank. You know, we're taking 235 out of their piggy bank tonight. And next year, we'll take another 235 out, and then we've exhausted the piggy bank. Then we have to raise them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Wilson?
I'm about to make an amendment. I say we make a whopping $6,000 a year doing this. How about the 14 of us give the $6,000, since we've been blessed with good jobs, and give this to the sheriff's department? I'd be doing it. I can do that. We're very blessed. Very, very blessed. If you're truly doing this for the people, these are who we're doing this for. So I have no problem doing it. Zero problem.
Call for the question on the amendment.
Okay, let's vote. We call for the question. Call for the roll. District, call for the question.
We voted on the amendment.
We voted on the amendment, call for the question.
No, we're calling for the debate.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm canceling. It went back to the, there you go.
Can you call the roll for that? Do the voice?
Bell?
Aye.
Berry?
Just so call for the question.
Yes.
Yes.
Bowers? Or Cunningham?
Yes.
Rushiers?
Yeah.
East?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Hester?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Hooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Parkinson? White,
Yes.
and Wilson.
Yes. A debate has ceased on the amendment. And again, the amendment states that instead of the raise is still proposed, it's just out of budget money, not ARP money. Is that correct, Mr. Ware?
Yes.
Okay. Call the roll on the amendment.
Bell,
Aye.
Barry,
Yes.
Cunningham,
No.
Rushiers, East,
No.
Gann,
No.
Hester,
No.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Hooks,
No.
Meadows,
No.
Parkinson,
No.
White,
No.
Wilson.
No.
Okay, the amendment did not pass. We're back to the original resolution. Any questions, comments? Amber, can we vote now on the original resolution?
Yep.
Okay, vote on the original resolution. That resolution passes. That brings us, I do believe, to the end.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
That is the end of our business. I do have
Yes.
a point of personal privilege.
Yes, sir.
May 28th, I'm gonna be marching from the 7258 junction, carrying 22 flags. Some of you may have seen the flyer. And it's 6 miles. You're more than welcome to join us anywhere on the route, from wherever you feel comfortable walking. I will tell you, Hilltop's no joke. It's 1,100 feet elevation gain the first mile and a quarter. So join us anywhere you want to, but do join us on May 28th for that Memorial Day.
7:30?
7:30 here, pick up, and then shuttle bus to the junction, and then we'll start walking in.
Very good. We have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Second, all in favor, say aye.